All right. This is problem 3. This is kind of the same general category of problems. Prepare a variable cost and a full cost income statement. I guess they're backwards this time. So for both years, 2001 and 2. This time we do have beginning inventory, but notice it tells us that the 20XO cost per unit was the same as 20X1. All right. So we'll do the variable first. In 20X1, so our selling price is $90 per unit, and the number sold is 1,000. So our sales is going to be 90,000. Let's just check that. 90,000. And then we've got variable costs now. We're doing the variable one first. Unit variable cost. So $30 manufacturing, $35 selling and administrative. So that would be $35. So that's 35,000. Gives us contribution margin of $55,000. We then subtract our fixed cost. Manufacturing is 24,000. Selling and administrative is 10,000. So that's a total of 34,000. Gives us 21,000 operating income. Okay. Now, just looking here, our actual production was 1,200. The units sold were 1,000, so our inventory increased. That means that our absorption costing or full costing will give us a higher income number for 20X1. Okay, so our sales is going to be the same, the 90,000. Okay, but now we've got to come up here and calculate our fixed manufacturing cost. It was 24,000 divided by 1,200 units actually produced is $20 per unit, plus our variable manufacturing cost is 30. We leave out the variable selling and administrative. So we add the 30 here. That gives us 50 for cost of goods sold. So 50 times 1,000 is 50,000, leaving us with contribution margin of 40,000. Then we take out our variable selling and administrative costs. 5 times 1,000 is 5,000 units sold, and then the 10,000 selling and administrative costs, so that's 15,000, so that would be 25,000. And as predicted, because our inventory went up by 200 units, our that is the difference between those. And so the prepare a reconciliation. For that, all we need to do is, this is our cost per unit is 20 times the number of units we went up is 200 equals 4,000, and that's the same as the difference there of 4,000. So those are the same. All right, now we're going to do 20X2. And the number of units sold is 1,900. Okay. So 1,900 times the selling price of 90 gives us 171,000, and that looks about right because 1,900 is almost double, not quite double our 2000 X1 sales. So we're in the ballpark, it looks like. And then we need our variable costs. So our variable costs are 30 and 5, same as before. So 35 times 1,900 is 66,500. Subtract that off, and our gross profit is 104,500. We now subtract off our fixed costs. So the manufacturing this year was 30,000. Remember, with variable costing, we treat all fixed costs as a period cost. So we're not dipping into last year's, even though we had inventory. And then the 10,000, we count it all. So that's 40,000. So that'll be 64,500. Okay. And then we get into the full costing. And again, here we've got 30,000. I'm going to do it right here. No, do it right here. 30,000 is our manufacturing fixed cost, and 1,500 is the number manufactured. So once again, our fixed manufacturing overhead per unit is $20 per unit. So 20 and the 30, like we did before, our cost of goods sold is 50. So that hasn't changed. So now we start with that. We get 171. Our sales don't change, but now we have 1,900 times 50 is 95,000. Subtract that, should be 76,000. And it is. Now we have to get the selling and administrative costs. So that's going to be selling administrative is $5 a unit times 1,900. Will be 9,500. And again, compare that to before. 5,000 were almost twice as much because we sold almost twice as much. And then finally, our selling and administrative cost is 10,000. So 76,000. 9,500 minus 10,000 minus is 56,500. And as predicted, our full cost, or our variable costing, is higher because our inventory went down. We had 600 in inventory. We used 400, so our inventory went down by 400 there. Okay. The next one up, we've got 3 divisions. We need to calculate the return on investment, the return on sales, and the asset turnover. So we'll do X, Y, and Z. ROI equals operating income over the investment, which is the assets, which would be okay. So in X's case, that will be 330,000 divided by 750,000. Is 44%. For Y, it's going to be 143,000 divided by 572, and that equals 25%. And then finally, Z is going to be 580,000 divided by 2,900,000 is 20%. Okay, so that's the ROI. Return on sales is just the operating income divided by sales. And so here we're going to have 330,000 divided by 2,200,000. And that's going to be 15%. For Y, it'll be 143,000 divided by 1,100,000. And that will be 13%. And then for Z, we've got 580,000 divided by 5,800,000, and that's going to be 10%. And it is. And then finally, the last thing they ask us is for the asset turnover. Asset turnover is just your sales divided by your investment or your assets. And so we are going to have here our sales, 2,200,000 divided by our assets of 750,000. And that'll be 2.93. For Y, we've got 1,100,000 divided by our assets of 572. Is 1.923 if you want to carry it out. And then finally, we've got Z, which is 5,800,000 divided by our assets of 2,900,000, and that's going to be 2. Now, notice on this, remember the DuPont identity is the return on income equals this times this. So if we multiply 15% times 2.93, we round that up to 0.44 or 44%. So that 13.13 is 24.9 or 25%. And then finally, if we take 10% times 2, that will be 20%. And so that this is just showing you the DuPont identity on that one. So are you selling it for enough? Well, 10% might not be enough. Are you selling enough of it? Probably not. 20% is not horrible. 25% is pretty good. 40% return on assets is outstanding. So you just have to look at the times and the competitive industry that you're in. All right, we're going to stop there and see if this works.